My name is Arthur MacDonald Bertrand, born in 1936, the second year of my mother and father's wedding anniversary. And I was brought into the world just 2 houses west of my office. We lived in town, I believe in a little apartment down at the first set of stoplights in that building. I think the rent was $25 a month, my dad told me. They lived there, and then we lived up Front Street where the Ultramar is now, and then we moved there. The house was torn down. They put a big super test service station there, and we moved across the river down in Raglan Street. Lived there for 3 or 4 years, and then moved up West End of Bridge Street, then down the Center Bridge Street by the car lot, 1948. I've been right in this area ever since. First job was at building products for the ethanol plant is outside of Havelock. Was there for 2 years, went up to West and worked for near a year in the oil fields and delivered milk with a horse, and I come home. Worked at General Motors for 2 years, then worked for my uncle driving a semi-trailer, delivering that. And then I worked for the ready mix company till it shut down and sat around for 2 weeks, and that was in November of '61. And so I just started taking cars off the car lot and started selling. My dad said, "You might better stay around here." And before he got here, he worked for Keith Brown out of Peterborough for about 4 years, and then when Brown got in politics, he didn't have him for a boss, so he thought he'd go on his own, because he told Brown one day, he says, "That last couple of cars that manager sent me down, you couldn't get a dog to pee on the wheel." And then my dad, he started the business here on his own, went his own July the 1st, 1959. And I come in here in November 1961. My kid brother worked in the woolen mill, and a lot of people think they should have left it up, maybe made apartments out of it. It was built about 1885, I remember the crest on it. And we lived in Raglan Street. The summer nights, the windows would be up to try to cool the houses down, no air conditioning then. They'd be back in the early 40s. And I can still hear them old looms going, they clickety, clickety, click and stop, clickety, clickety, click. But there's 2 or 3 shifts there, and the money was just average money, but it put a lot of people in their own homes and put the kids through school, and everybody survived. And then they had the carpet mill across the road. And then one time down across from the old post office, there's a stone building. They used to make shoes the way back in the time. Then a company come in there and made airplane seats for jets, and then outboard marine build seats and that for boats and snowmobiles. And then it got knocked down, that building. Yeah, it's quite a bit of industry in town one time. And then there's a pulp factory, and I could just remember it going. I remember riding a bicycle down there one night. It was dark. Very, very young, and they see them in there, big machines with big logs on them, and railway, like coal cars would roll in from the North Country full of all pulp would unload it. Before that, you see, they had a paper mill down there too, and it burnt. They said that they'd have those big 22 horsepower outboard motors, my dad said, with water pumps on them. They can run them things for a week, so much wood and sawdust in there. And then at night time, coming into town, they had a great big chimney, at least 150, 200 feet in the air, burning scrap wood and shavings. The sparks would be flying out there at night. You see that every night, they'd be going. Would burn it, getting rid of the excess wood. Now they make it all into press board, don't they? Then the cement silo plants, they started up in the early 40s there too. McCowan started them up, and Rowe Brothers had a garage, and they got into making silo blocks, and the plant's still up there. Bus parts is now. My dad used to go east over there about 20, 30 miles to a big gravel pit called Fuller and bring stone back to build the silo blocks. Yeah, they was in business for quite a few years. Then they got your Cook's Chocolate Factory up there. That's been there, imagine 40 years. That's employed a few people, which has been good. And next door where they sell the candy used to be fold away furniture, made furniture there, fold up and away or something, I don't know how it worked. And then they used to keep horses over in that barn there, across the road, back in the 40s and early 50s, just when the tractors started coming in. And old Bill Scott, my dad did a lot of trucking for him. He'd get my dad and then maybe another guy, he'd load the trucks and take the horses down to Kildare, up in the Mazenau Lake to Sar and Stroll. Use the horses for logging in the winter. And in the spring, they'd go down, back down, bring the horses back out. They'd rent them out just like you would a truck, bring them back out, and they worked, had 3 or 4 farms just where over west of us here, and used the horses on his own property. And they said one night he was over there, and he says, old Bill Scott wanted to go with him. He says, the wolf let a screech out of it, and he said, he put the printed cord of the door handles out of the truck trying to get in. And he says, those horses got back to the barn. He said, we had one hell of a time getting out of the barn to load them. He says, just terrible. Oh, have a terrible time with them, the horses. Yeah. So one day this lady and husband come in looking for a car. And I couldn't sell them anything, didn't have what they kind of wanted, so I said, well, you go 1 block up there and ask for the old Sweetie Sherwinkle. And it says, he'll have something. I says, no, on the right side, his ear, he's stone deaf. And the left side, he just can partially hear, so you stand on the left-hand side of him, and you pretty near got to holler loud. I says, he's deaf. But you go up there, he'd have a nice car for you. I says, she went up, and I says, 20 minutes, I got a phone call. It's a good thing Bell Telephone wasn't listed, and the lines would have been pulled out. Yeah, I says, I never knew he was swearing, man, but he sure proved her that day. Yeah. Anybody else come in looking for some type of car didn't have, or just kicking tires, I'd send him right up there every time. I says, he got lots of time, that man up there. He likes visiting. They get up there talking away, and even trying to get away from him. Yeah, we used to have a lot of fun around the business. Where I live now, we built that house in 92. So we've been there 30 years, be 31 years this November we've been there. But things have changed there. We had a lot of peace and quietness. Nobody beside me. Big vacant lot one side and the woods on the other side. Look across the fields and see your animals and that running around. Now they're putting 400 houses over there, so that's the end of an era, that's for sure.